Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show Week 16, brought to you by freebets.com. The very best free bet offers brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. It's nearly Christmas. You might want to win yourself a bit of extra pocket money, pay for some more presents, treat some other family. So head over to the site, have a look what offers they've got on, because there's plenty of offers on there. Adam, you are a writer for them. You've had some bets out for them for, I'm guessing, maybe for tonight.
Yeah, we've actually had a decent little run this week. It's not been too bad. So I had something on the Newcastle game on during the week, and then ironically the Newcastle game again today. Both of them won, so that was good. So that worked out well. Our bet builder, I did a Manning special for the bet builder for the Rams Seahawks game. We had over on the points, which I kind of felt was a fairly obvious one, but I Puka Nakua touchdown and receptions, and Jackson Smith and Jigba touchdown and reception. So that came in, so that was quite nice. 13-2 winner. And for tonight's games, no, there's nothing out there for tonight. There is an NFL accumulator one for tomorrow's games, and there is also who's playing in the Premier League tomorrow? Villa Man United, I think it is. Yeah, so I've got one of them as well. And there's loads of other stuff. The Ashes are on at the moment. We're getting our asses kicked. Love to see it. There's that going on, and lots of other sports and stuff. So yeah, go check them out. And like you say, get yourself some free bets, maybe win some money, and don't spend it all on Christmas though. Save some for yourself. Come on.
Save some for New Year.
Well, just for yourself, really. That's all I'm thinking. So.
Bit of an odd week this week for the NFL. We've already had a game. We will talk about that in just a second. But we have, as we've just said, there's 2 games on the Saturday tonight. So that's always catches us out in the December months, having Saturday games. But we'll talk about the game that's already been on, Adam. The Los Angeles at the Seattle Seahawks. It ended 38-37 to the Seattle Seahawks with the exciting 2-pointer in overtime to seal the game. I thought it was done and dusted and all over. Rams have won this. They're in front. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning and watched the highlights and was like, wait, what's just happened here? Seattle really putting their stamp down now as their hat in the ring, should I say, to be one of the Super Bowl contenders, I think now.
Yeah, I think a hat in the ring's probably fair. I don't think they're putting their stamp down, to be honest. I mean, that was a weird 2-point conversion thing that Zach Charbonnet is getting a lot of plaudits for being apparently the only person who knew what to do, when to me that looked like a man who didn't have a clue and he just picked the ball up. So I don't think there was it's a shame that kind of happened in a way, because it kind of felt like it was just a complete fluke and no one really knew what was going on. And obviously that then meant that it went to overtime and they won from that. So I suppose the argument is you should know what all the rules are, but there's so many of them, I can't imagine how that half of them know half the rules. But I think if that was obviously that can't be a Super Bowl, but if that could be the NFC Championship game, then I think that would be a very good NFC Championship game now. And I'm trying to think of other teams in the NFC side now. I think they probably are the top 2. So it would be good if that was what ended up happening. And obviously one of them would make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the game the other night when the Bears took on the Packers, despite the injuries, I felt like that was could have been a really good playoff game as well.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams looked like it was like a playoff matchup. So it is starting to have some names come forward and say, yes, this is what we want to see in the playoffs. So that's always a decent thing. Do you think the Rams, have you faltered any more on them with this loss, or are you still hot on them to be your champs?
I mean, aside from the fluke play, they won. So, if you want to take it from that point of view, I'm not really that worried about them. I think they've shown that they're still a very good team. bear in mind this was in Seattle, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, as well. So they've had to travel away, and you're without really your main touchdown scorer in Devontae Adams. So I think that if you throw all that into it, I think it's just a bit of a quirky rule that as everyone wasn't expecting, and it obviously turned its head. I don't really feel like the other good thing for the Rams is I don't really feel like it took them out of their stride. Really, they went into overtime, they went and got a touchdown, and to a certain degree, what more can you do? So I think they did pretty well from it. So yeah, I don't really see what the concerns are. I mean, look, the only concern I have with the Rams is what I've had pretty much all season, which is basically I don't think the secondary is that great, but everywhere else is pretty good. So yeah, I think they're in a good spot.
With how good their front seven is, I would expect them to get more pressure and sacks. I think obviously they are really good. I just expect more for them for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. It does kind of feel that it's very much it's like a team rather than in a certain individual. I mean, I think you can, I can basically come out and say that the reason that the Packers defense has been so good all season is because of Micah Parsons. Whereas
Who hasn't had all the stats,
yeah, and he hasn't had loads of sacks, but it's helped everybody else around it. I don't feel that's been the case for the Rams. I don't feel like there's one guy who's been like miles out ahead of all the others. They've all kind of chipped in and been pretty good. So I do think sometimes that might be why. And they're more of a containment, aren't they, rather than sort of like going out and getting them. But yeah, I think they'll still be all right.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's take a look at this week's FTAG5 then. So first up, Adam, I have taken the +2. Yes, I'm taking a plus again. I've taken quite a few pluses this week. I'm taking the +2 on the Chargers at the Cowboys. Chargers playing really good football despite the injuries on the O-line. Justin Herbert didn't look phased with the broken bones in his wrist or arm or hand or whatever what you want to put it. Receivers all clicking. Got Hampton back. He looked a lot better having another week under his belt against the Cowboys team that, I don't know, it's got a good offense. The defense hasn't been as good the last couple of weeks at stopping the run as it has been all year. The secondary isn't great. And the Chargers defense is a top defense, which can shut down the high-powered offense from the Cowboys. So I was really shocked that Chargers were the underdogs going into this game and was very happy to take the +2 because I think they'll win at money line.
Yeah, it feels like the odd one, doesn't it? I don't know if you know, our podcast pal, Mr. Sky Lawrence Pank, went on to the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover podcast with Shane from the Pats Pals podcast, and made a big thing about how, despite the fact that he is known as a Cowboys fan, he made a big thing about the fact that he couldn't understand it was +2 and just throw a couple of grand on it was what he came out and said during the podcast. So we know where all the money is, don't we? Mr. Pank's got it all. So that's the way forward. But yeah, I agree. I find it very strange that it's +2, and I think they're probably putting quite a lot into the fact that it's at the Cowboys, and they've had a pretty decent record at home this season. They struggled, obviously, last week. They lost to the Vikings, which was a bit surprising, to be honest.
Which was at Dallas as well, wasn't it? So they lost to the Vikings, who, their defense is good, but offensively with JJ McCarthy as well, I think that they let him really play out what he needed to do, and I think Justin Herbert is 10 times better than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think what was interesting was that they didn't really get to JJ McCarthy much, so he had plenty of time in order to throw his passes, and it kind of showed that when given the time, he can kind of throw some decent balls. And I don't know, maybe this is where the Cowboys, that little brief sort of spell of the defense feeling like it was improving, it kind of felt like it improved very much against the run. And, someone like Quinton Williams coming in will help you against the run, and Kenny Clark being there will help you against the run. Obviously, like, not having Michael Parsons there will not help you against the pass, kind of thing. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing here. So the Cowboys defense, when it comes to the amount of yards that they give up, currently 32nd in the league, really struggled against the pass. Bit solid against the run, but not fantastic. And so I think that we're seeing that this defense just, you can still get at them and you can still score plenty of points. As you say, the Chargers have been great. Tons of injuries over the season, but they've looked good. They've managed it relatively well. And I think in this game, I would just argue that they are just a much better all-round team. And that is why it probably should be the other way around. It's how we're thinking. And so therefore, I think, you take the +2.
Yeah. I mean, they played Kansas City last week. And got the victory there, and they were the underdogs last week as well. I think we took them last week as well. So what's changed dramatically to Dallas, who lost to Minnesota, and Chargers, who beat Kansas? What's changed in a week's time? There hasn't been dramatic concussions or injuries across the board.
No, I mean, from what I can tell, pretty much, last week the Cowboys had all of their offensive weapons out there. So it's not like someone's come back. With the Chargers, no one's gone down. It doesn't feel much different. If anything, I think you could argue for the Chargers actually getting better because the likes of Hampton have had a little bit more time coming back, and
Herbert's going to be a little bit more.
He's a little bit further along with the injury and things like that. So it does feel very, very strange. And but sometimes you get this come up, don't you? It does. I mean, again, you could. Are the Chargers in a spot where they don't have anything to play for? I mean, I'm not quite sure what the standings are when it comes to the AFC side. I mean, the Cowboys have nothing to play for, do they? Now?
No, they're out now because they lost and the Eagles won. So
they're out. Let me just have a quick look at the AFC. We have got. So Chargers are 10-4. Obviously, they're not going to win the division because the Broncos are 12-2. But I mean, so they've got the 5, 6. So the Bills are 10-4 as well.
The Jags are 10-4 as well, aren't they? So
the Jags are leading their division. So therefore, when you look at the 5, 6, 7, you're looking at the Chargers, the Bills, and then the Texans at 9-5. So your next one is the Colts at 8-6. But you've got 3 games left. So in theory, you still need to be playing to sort of like keep going. And I don't get it. And actually, to be honest, given how it is at the moment, you want that 5th seed, I would say, because you're going to be going up against the Steelers or the Ravens, who are not playing great.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, don't get it. +2, I'll take it.
The next game I have gone for is the Minnesota Vikings at -2.5 against the New York Giants. My New York Giants. Now, JJ McCarthy has shown a little bit of progression. I'm not saying he looks incredible, but from what we saw at the start to what we're seeing now, it looks a bit better. And they can rely on the run game a lot. And the Giants, as I pointed out in our group chat, they are, in my eyes, they are tanking. I put the highlight in the group of the McLaurin touchdown, where 2 players literally 50-yard pass, 2 defenders right next to him, and both somehow miraculously missed the tackle and ran past him, and he just walked into the end zone. So
I wouldn't say they. I mean, one of them kind of pirouetted around him, which I thought was quite nice. But aside from that, it was quite funny to watch.
It does look like they play well enough to keep themselves in the game and look good in the game, and then just go, let's just not win. I think we've all spoke about this. Them having the number 1 seed really, really pushes that franchise in the right direction for the future. And I think Minnesota, they need to win and need to progress with JJ McCarthy and show that they can play. So there's more for them in this game. And for it to be under a field goal as well, I think they cover that and more. I think they win this quite comfortably.
Yeah, so to me, this is more that you're backing the Giants to not do much rather than the Vikings necessarily to go out and be amazing. He has improved. You have seen that. You have seen some progression, as you say. But it is kind of, I wouldn't say it's been fantastic. He did look okay against the Cowboys, but there was very little pressure on him throughout that game. And I think that if any team can get any pressure on him, then I think he does crumble quite quickly. So that's the concern with this. However, you know, the Vikings do have the playmakers for him in order to be able to score and to do reasonably well. They're not in a position to sort of go out and get a quarterback next year, as in like through the draft. They're quite far away from the top of the draft. And so it feels like you say, it is about progression. It is about him improving. And, you know, the rest of the team is kind of like ready to go now. So it does kind of feel like this is the way that it's going to be. And I do think that these last few games that they've won and the slight improvement, I think it's probably going to be enough for them to come out and go, yeah, we'll stick with him next year. We'll keep going. We'll keep trying to develop him and see what happens. I mean, I haven't really seen that much of the Giants in the last few weeks, so I will kind of like go with what you say. And some of the highlights that I have seen, it does look like it's a team that's maybe thinking about the draft and sort of like improving, because if they do get that first round pick, it will be huge for them. Because if they can do a sort of trade, that there's many different ways they can look at it. They can either say drop down one spot and go to the Raiders and then drop down again, or they could just do one massive trade with someone if they can get it and drop down, say, in the same way that the Bears did with the Panthers. And when you think about what the Bears got for that trade, this Giants team isn't on paper, they're not that bad. So it's like, if they can get a big haul like that, I think it really could transform them. And if you can get the right head coach in there as well, and you feel like you've got the quarterback already, it does feel like there's the potential for this team to go and do something similar to what the Patriots have done this year. So I do feel like there's something there for them. But yeah, I mean, with this game being within a field goal, and we like the fact that the Vikings are still trying and the Giants are not trying as much, then it does kind of feel like the way forward.
Yeah, also for the Giants, you're not going to be paying Dart, you're not going to be paying Scatterbone, you're not going to be paying Carter. So three of the
really paying Neighbours either, will you?
Neighbours, what, he's been there?
He's done 2 years.
2 years. So,
but he was the first round pick.
He's got another 2 years before. I think year 4 we'll need to sign him to. We won't go. We won't take the 5th year option and then do that. We'll sign him at the 4 year, won't we? So we've got a fair few years now where we're not going to be paying the top positions in your team that take up a majority of the salary cap. So it really means we can strengthen the O-line and the secondary with a bit of cap space and really push on. So it's looking bright for us for the future.
I also think you've got quite a lot of cap space, haven't you, as well? I think it's like
we won't be paying Jones anything anymore, will we?
No, that's true. You haven't got loads, but you've got a solid amount, and it's like you restructure a few things. You can so you should be in a good spot. I think I feel like you're the team that could do the Patriots thing that they did this year.
Now, the next game I've taken might be a surprise to a lot of people, but I have taken the +3.5 on the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Denver Broncos. Now, I know you're very much at the Broncos. Leave that alone. they're really dominant at home. But the Jags defense is like number one in all, like, most categories, isn't it? Especially stopping the run and things like that. So I think this is a terrible matchup. They're going to get a lot of pressure on Bo Nix, and I think when there is a lot of pressure on him, that's when the mistakes come from him. And I think somehow Liam Cohen has managed to get Trevor Lawrence over the last few weeks to turn into an absolute. You're laughing at me here
because you are saying exactly the same thing that I was going to say.
Oh, good. I'll continue.
No, just the other way around.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll continue. Liam Cohen has got Trevor Lawrence playing to the standard that we thought Trevor Lawrence was going to play. It took a few weeks to get there, but we are there. The picks are down. The play that he's producing is up. The running backs, Etienne's been fantastic. I think this is an area where the Jags can really, really push on, and this is not a good matchup for them. And I was looking into it in terms of everyone talking about how good the Broncos defense is, and the defense, I feel like they padded a lot of their stats early in the season against some lesser teams, and they haven't been as good recently. I'm just going to quickly bring them up and see what they have conceded quite a few points against some teams lately. Where are you?
Yeah, they have. You're not wrong. And to be brutally honest, like last week against the Packers, they were in a bit of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
for the injuries, they would have lost, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And there was a lot of injury. I mean, a lot of people were pointing to the Micah Parsons injury. I can't remember exactly what the score was. It was something like 23-14 when Parsons went out. So it was they were struggling, they were down, but obviously it wasn't just Parsons. There were other players as well. Evan Williams went down. He's been great for us this year. There was Christian Watson who went out. There was Zach Tom went out as well. The Packers got absolutely decimated by injuries in that game. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, but everything you're saying is exactly the same the other way.
Is it though? Because I've just said I don't think the Broncos defense has been as dominant as the Jags defense. As I said, like, they've been giving up quite a few points recently in the later on in the season. I mean, they gave up 32 to the Giants, 24 to the Cowboys, 26 to the Commanders, which aren't high explosive offenses. 26 to your Packers, 17 to the Raiders.
I get what you're saying. I mean, but I can just throw the fact that the Jags gave up 36 to the Texans and 24 to the Cardinals and 20 to the Jets. I don't really feel like the Jaguars have, in the last 4 games, they've played the Cardinals, the Titans, the Colts with, like, who was their quarterback for the Colts in that game? It was because it wasn't before Old Man River turned up.
Would it have been Daniel Jones then?
No, he was out. It was the one before. It was the one before Rivers. Who was
Riley Leonard?
It was Riley Leonard. The Jets last week with Brady Cook just throwing them the ball to the Jags defense. I'm not going to come out and say don't back the Jags in this.
Well, do you know what I really like about it? It's 3.5.
I can see the logic of it, because it's like, if it's tight, because I do think it will be a tight game. I don't think this is a 10-point win on either side. I think this will be a tight game, and so therefore I can understand the logic of the plus 3.5.
How many games have the Broncos had to be a fourth quarter comeback and get a touchdown, and Bo Nix has done it? If it's that case, the plus 3.5 is worth loads.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, what I suppose my point of view with it is very much that although it feels like it is like that with the Broncos, and that they keep winning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they can still win this game. They can win this game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can understand what you're saying with it, because you are right in that respect. I mean, like, You know, they beat the Commanders by 1 point. They beat the Chiefs by 3 points. They beat the Raiders by 3 points. They beat the Texans by 3 points. They beat the Jets by 2 points. You know, so there's a lot of them where they are very, very close games. And so the +3.5 makes sense. It's a game I don't want to know. There are, and I will tell you which ones later on. There are better ones out there that I would rather be backing.
Well, the next one I have gone for, surely you're on the side of this one. I have taken the -7 on the Detroit Lions at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I made a joke in the group earlier today that Aaron Rodgers has been the shining light of the Steelers. He seems to be the only bright spark for them, and that's a sad state of affairs when you look at the players that are on the Steelers team and the Lions. You know, they are moving the ball well. The offense is good. Just the defense has had its struggles, but I think they can really put on a performance against the Steelers team, which isn't doing a lot. There's not a lot in the run game. It's very DK Metcalf orientated on the offense, and the defense just isn't anywhere near what it should be. So I think the Lions are going to put up and kick, like as we've seen them do in the past. Once they start scoring, they don't take the foot off the throttle. They keep going and pushing. So I think I'm happy to take the -7 on the Lions against the Steelers.
Yeah, I like the Lions for this one. I know the -7. I think you're right. I think you've got a game here that could easily be a 10-point win plus for the Lions. When you look at it statistically, it feels very much like both defenses are actually not that different. You know, that they're not particularly great in either area. Really, they're kind of pretty mid-table in both. And I think that you see that a lot. I think the Lions struggle to stop a lot of teams, and they do sort of concede quite a few points in their games. The Steelers, again, another team that I feel like, I know the Dolphins didn't score many against them, but it felt like the Dolphins just weren't really doing much in that game. And so it kind of, in most of them, they do concede quite a few points as well. Because of that, I just feel like this could end up becoming. I like the over at 52. I think this could be quite a high scoring game, and so you just kind of think to yourself, okay, who's the most explosive offense of the team? And I think we can safely say that's the Lions. So I agree with you. I think it wins. I think the -7 comes in. I think there's a lot of points. So yeah, it's definitely I think it's the way forward to go with the Lions, and they need to win as well. You know, I mean, I know the Steelers need to win as well, but the Lions really need to win this game. They can't afford any slip ups now, and if they've got any chance of getting in, they've got to make sure that they get this win.
Yeah, definitely. The final one that I've taken, Adam, is I've taken the +3 on the New England Patriots at the Baltimore Ravens. I was shocked at this one as well that Patriots have come in as the underdog. I feel like last week against the Bills, they had the game in control. They had it, they're dominating it, and it was just Josh Allen turned into Superman again, and that's not going to happen for everyone. I don't think the Patriots lost it because they just weren't good enough. I think Josh Allen's just that good, isn't he? And for some reason, after that started to happen, they moved away from the run game, which was working for them. So I think they'll take that, they'll learn from it, and they're going against the Ravens, which Lamar Jackson is back, but he's still not 100%, and they haven't looked fantastic over the last 3 weeks that he's been back in. You know, they've lost to the Bengals, they beat the Bengals, and then they've lost to the Steelers as well. So I'm not overly convinced by this Ravens team. This defense hasn't been fantastic all year. I know it's got a little bit healthier, but it's not been great. Their run game's not really been dominant with Lamar or Derrick Henry, and I don't think there's lots of option in terms of the passing game for them. So I am shocked that the Patriots are the underdogs in this one, who look like they could move the ball quite comfortably on the Ravens.
Yeah, again, it's a bit of a strange one. I think, and I will continue to keep saying this just to annoy all Patriots fans, that the reason that this is the case is because they haven't really played anyone other than the Bills. And I think that there's an element of name bias, maybe, or like in the last few years, where it's like, oh, the Patriots aren't anything special. They haven't really done much. They haven't really played anyone, and the Ravens still have, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and they've got the star names on their team. I think that's probably what you're looking at as to why this has happened. Clearly, people are obviously backing the Ravens. Otherwise, it wouldn't be set at -3. So there's obviously been some form of confidence behind them. But yeah, I kind of agree. And I think there is a lot to be said for momentum and just the way that things are going. I know that the Patriots lost last week, but I think they actually played all right. And
Yeah.
the idea that it's all going to fall apart now kind of just feels a little bit harsh on them. It's probably the first time that there's actually been any form of pressure on them, I suppose, is maybe what the argument is, in the fact that, they're only one game ahead now of the Bills. The Bills will have already played earlier in the weekend, so they might be level going into this game as well. And you are going away to a Ravens team who, although they haven't been great this year, and I like all round they haven't been as good, they do still have weapons and they can still hurt you. And Lamar can pull out some amazing plays still. But it does kind of feel a little bit like, when you think of the two teams and how they've performed this year, although I think the Patriots haven't played many teams with sort of top quality, I still just think they've been a good, well-run team this year, and I don't see why that suddenly falls apart now. And the Ravens have not necessarily been a great, well-run team. I would argue that, you say that the Ravens' run game hasn't really done much. I'd argue it hasn't had the opportunity to do much. I just feel like the ball's not been in Derrick Henry's hands enough, and that's a real issue for them, because that's a big reason that they've been successful over the last few years. So yeah, I'd take the +3 as well.
Yeah, I just feel like people are putting too much into the shutout
The
game
Bills
against the Bengals,
yeah.
and going, oh, the Ravens are back. They shut out the Bengals and scored, what was it, 24-0? And I don't think it was the Ravens were amazing. I think the Bengals.
I mean, the Bengals are a very poor defense. They have been all season.
But even on offense, it looked like they just, before the game, the first snap of the game, it looks like they were like, not really bothered about this. That is genuinely the feel I got about from the whole team. So you were ever likely to win that game. Prior to that, they lost 2 games, lost to the Steelers. So yeah, I'm on the Patriots at +3. I think they can win at money line. Adam,
yeah, I think you're right. I'm not against it.
You didn't want me to be anywhere near that Jags Broncos game, so we take that one out. What game did I miss?
I think you missed the -3 on the Falcons going away to the Cardinals. I understand that, but well, you missed it. I understand that they are two teams that have got nothing to play for. However, I do feel like the Falcons in the last few weeks, I don't think they've been fantastic by any stretch. But I think they have kind of shown glimpses of still trying and still wanting to win. And I feel like they're behind Raheem Morris, and they're trying their best to get things going there. I just like having a quick look. When you look at them, I mean, obviously, like, Michael Penix has gone out, and we thought a bit of a problem. But actually, given if you just take the last 4 weeks that Kirk Cousins has been out there, okay, when they went away to the Seahawks, they only scored 9 points, but they were up against this really good Seahawks defense. When you look at the other ones, 24, 24, 29 against the Bucks last week. I know it's against the Saints, the Jets, and the Bucks, and all them defenses are not doing particularly great at the moment. Although the Saints aren't too bad, but the others aren't great. They have been putting points up. more importantly, they're going up against this Cardinals team, which, although Jacoby Brissett has been better for the offense compared to what Kyler Murray was, they've never actually put up a lot of points. It's always been kind of like 20s and 17s and stuff like that. You're never getting like 30, 35 from them. So just purely from that angle, it kind of feels like the Falcons are a slightly more explosive offense that seem to be doing a bit better. And defensively, I think that the Falcons are probably in a slightly better place defensively than what the Cardinals are as well, because I feel like the likes of James Pierce and Jalen Walker they've looked okay. Like they've done all right. And it, like I say, I just kind of feel like the whole team with the Falcons are very much they're still fighting despite the fact that they can't get in the playoffs. They're still behind their head coach. They're still trying to get wins. And also they've got Drake London back this week. It looks like he's going to play. So yeah, I think there's just between the two teams, I think there's a bit of positivity at the moment, despite the fact that their season's over in Atlanta. I don't think it's necessarily the same in Arizona. I think it's a bit of a struggle, and offensively, it feels like it's Trey McBride and no one else. And
Michael Wilson would be really unhappy about the way
you
he's been
say that,
playing
but he did
lately.
next to nothing last week. It was like he disappeared. It's like he had one game where he did loads, and then it all disappeared. And yeah, it just kind of feels like it's all sort of the season's just sort of trudging towards the end and not a lot's happening with Arizona. So yeah, I quite like the Falcons at -3.
We laugh at the Falcons for the trade that they did last year.
Yes.
But could
What?
they get a better edge rusher than James Pierce with that first round pick? I think he's worth a first round pick.
Oh, yeah. You should have taken him with your first one.
Yeah.
There you go. That would have been, and you would have had him, and you wouldn't have given up next year's first.
Well,
I mean, Jalen Walker, he looks all right, but he does.
bizarrely, they wanted James Pierce with their first pick, and they didn't take him because they didn't think Jalen Walker was going to be on the board when they had that pick. So they were like, "Oh, he's there as well. Let's get him." But their pick all along was supposed to be James Pierce with the first pick.
For anybody who wants to watch draft content after the season is finished, we will be doing about certain teams. The Atlanta Falcons will be one of them, and I will tell you why the general manager is an idiot.
Also, and on topic with this, I was listening to a podcast the other day that basically said that Robert Saleh will be given a head coaching job somewhere else next year. They think that's a certainty. So the topic was, who will be the next defensive coordinator at the 49ers? The number one name that they all said it was going to be was Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
So do you think Raheem Morris hasn't done enough to retain his job?
I don't feel like there's been any improvement. It's very difficult. I mean, Arthur Blank is not getting any younger, bless him. So, and if he wants to win, I think he might have to make a change. So it wouldn't.
In my head, I thought Raheem Morris is still going to be there and thereabouts. Obviously, he's going to be on the hot seat depending on how the last few games go.
It'll be
I don't
close.
think there's an eye on, he's going to be fired. He'll be a defensive coordinator.
No, I agree. I don't think it's a definite. No. I think there's a few guys out there that are maybes. Like I genuinely do. I think he's one of them. I think Todd Bowles at the Bucs. I think he's definitely a maybe. They might move on from him. There's a few guys out there that are not definite get rid of, but yeah, it's not working. There's not the improvement's not really happening. If anything, they're going backwards. And I think I think I can't remember exactly what their record was a couple of years, like over the last couple of years that he's been there, but it does feel like they're not progressing.
Avoid
Kansas City Chiefs at -3. This is not a lump on the Tennessee Titans take. This is I don't want to back the Kansas City Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is not there, and
Rashi Rice is
Javonte, Rashee Rice is out, as you know. And Taylor, the left tackle, has just
and
gone on
Chanel's out
IR.
as well.
And Leo Chanel's just gone on IR. And this is an over-under of 37.5. I don't think anyone's expecting much in this game. But actually, one team that's been putting up a few points recently is the Titans. And they had 24 against the 49ers, 31 against the Browns, 24 against the Seahawks. That's in the last 4 weeks that's happened. I wouldn't be shocked if the Titans went and got themselves 20 points in this game. Don't want to be on the Chiefs.
I fully agree. I wasn't touching this game with a barge pole. I was like, that's the Chiefs. It would benefit them to lose. It benefits them to get a better pick in the draft.
True.
There's no expectation for them to win this with Minshew and the rest of the backups that are going to be in, because they've listed, I think, 11 first team players injured or not playing. I think 2 on the O-line, a couple on the defense as well. So there's going to be, we had loads of injuries. We had our backup quarterback. We lost. What a shame. So I think, Titans have got all to play for. They want to impress. There's a lot of youngsters there that want to get a space on that team next year because it's growing. So I can see the Titans pulling off the victory here in this one as well. So I was like, I'll leave that one just in case, because Minshew might have a bit of Minshew mania. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, that there is no actual incentive for them to win now. But it's funny, isn't it, how it works? All of a sudden, a lot of players go on IR because the season's done. So they've obviously been playing with injuries and not been 100%, which most players probably are. But I think it's just that thing where it's like it's difficult to imagine that for a team that has been in and around the Super Bowl for the last 9-10 years, probably. It's tough to imagine that they're going to get up for a game away to the Titans and sort of like with their backup quarterback missing their left tackle, and main wide receiver, and it just. I'm not saying they won't do anything. I think they probably will score points. I think they have the potential to win it. I think they've got players that are still decent and will do all right. But I don't want to be on them in a bet. I would encourage everyone to sit and watch the game rather than bet on it.
Yeah, definitely. Adam, early trebles. Who have you got?
Yeah. So for the early games, I've gone for Lab McConkey. At 11-8, going up against the Dallas Cowboys. As we said, the Cowboys are actually bottom of the league when it comes to how many passing yards they give up. So I feel like the passing game is what they can exploit. So him at 11-8. I've gone for Audric Estime at 7-4. Nice little, the Saints running game. Kamara has got about 1,000 injuries still and has done most of the season. Can't remember who their other guy is, but he's out, isn't he? Devon Neal's out, the rookie. So it's now Audric Estime and Evan Hull, where I would think Estime is going to be like the main guy for that. They are going up against. Let me think. Who are they playing?
They're going against the Jets.
They're going up against the Jets. The Jets 29th when it comes to giving up rushing yards. And I think that it's a favourable matchup. They're at home. I feel like Estime's got a chance of getting in. So at 7-4, I kind of felt like he was a decent price. And then finally, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've gone for Mike Evans at 9-5. He came back and he was immediately the number one read for Baker Mayfield. And he scored a touchdown last week. I think he's got a good chance of getting in again. The Panthers defense, they're pretty much mid-table actually when it comes to the run and the pass, so it doesn't matter too much on that. But I think that they can exploit that and get somewhere from it. I also think it could be a reasonably high scoring game, actually, because I think the Bucks defense is not that great, and so the Panthers will score on them. So I like Evans at 9-5. The only one, and he's a slightly bigger price, that I quite like the look of, was for the Vikings, Jordan Addison, at 21-10. I kind of like that because what you were saying about the Giants and basically having seen that clip from last week, you feel like Addison could, and Jalen Naylor, actually, he seems to be
I
getting
looked
as
at both of
well
them. Yeah,
at a bigger
nearly
price.
had
So
Naylor.
both of them are definitely worth looking at. I think the two are for the Vikings. But yeah, McConkey 11-8, Estimate 7-4, Evans 9-5, 17.29-1.
Yeah, obviously I did mine, and then you sent me yours. So I changed mine because I had two of the same names.
Oh, who did you have? I take it they're not in it now.
I had Audric Estime.
All right.
And I had Mike Evans.
Okay.
And I would push everybody to put money on Mike Evans. I think that's a really, really good, safe bet to have this week. I think, as you said, it was the first read. He was the red zone read every single time before any of the others. So I would say that's a good, solid bet. So I've kept one of mine in, and I've changed, and I've gone really rogue with it and gone, do you know what? I'm just going to try and get some decent odds here. We're coming towards the end of the season. My bet is 43.5-1.
Okay.
The first player I've gone for is Darren Waller. I know they've had a change of quarterback, and they've gone with Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
But Quinn Ewers is exactly the same quarterback as Tua in terms of ability. And I think
not very good then, is what you're saying.
Well, you know, I mean, he's got an average arm. He can deliver the ball quite nicely. He's left-handed.
Yeah.
I think Waller's just, if they get anywhere near, if they use Achan all the way down the field and then they go, we're in the red zone, Waller is going to be the target. You just need to put the ball up there and he'll get it. So at 11-5, I think Waller's still a safe bet with a change of quarterback because you just need to be in the red zone to get it. They're going against the Bengals as well. Bengals are not great at defending the pass. So I think that's a good option to go for. I've also then gone for Dalton Kincaid going against the Browns. He's 23-10. I know I was 50-50 of going Kincaid or Knox. But Kincaid is definitely the first read tight end, and he has been playing well. He has been in twice in the last 4 weeks, I think. It might be twice. Yeah, twice in the last 3 weeks. I think we can have a quick look at that, can't we? Get that up on the screen for you. Well, there they are, the Bills touchdown scorers. Yeah, he's been in twice in the last 4 games. So there, whereas Knox has just went in twice last week. So I think there's more option on Kincaid being the more consistent option there. And then finally, I've taken one of your guys that you really, really like. I've taken Chimere DK.
Okay. Yeah.
At 16-5 going against the Chiefs, who we've just said might get upset this week by the Titans, who are throwing the ball about quite a lot. 43.5-1, Adam. I
have got all 3 of them down here.
Yeah, so you like the bet then?
I do. I like the bet. I think they've all got good chances. I think they could all come in. The reason I didn't go for Waller was purely because of the change at quarterback, and I'm not 100% sure what we're doing with viewers. The reason that the reason I didn't go for Kincaid was because he's going up against the Browns defense, who are very, very good against the pass. So there is that concern as well. DK, I just liked others. So I just like the other 3 that I did as better, but they are all down here. So I wouldn't be against it at all. There wasn't really, to be honest, there wasn't really anyone else. I haven't sort of not gone for others or anything. I mean, McBride for obvious reasons, but I mean, he's even money, so he's really short. But I think them 3 are decent shouts.
Who have you got in the late game, Tim?
Late games, struggled a bit on this one. There wasn't much that I was that keen on for the Broncos, purely because of the price. I think it's crazy actually that he's still the price that he is. Cortland Sutton at 17-10. The Jags, as you say, good in most metrics in the defense. When it comes to giving up passing yards, at 20th. So it does feel like that's how you can beat them, is through the air. And Cortland Sutton, I think, is always a reliable target for Bo Nix. So I've gone for him. In the Texans Raiders game, I've gone for Nico Collins, even money, nothing. The Raiders can't stop anything. And in the Lions Steelers game, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of them Lions players are going to get touchdowns, but they're not particularly great prices. I did have Amon Ross put down, but he was 5-6. So I went for DK Metcalf. I just think the Lions defense, you can score on them. At 8-5, it's a slightly bigger price. So it's not too bad, but nothing really fantastic. Sutton, Collins, and Metcalf at 13.04 to 1. So a bit
I've
short.
got some good odds in the late game, and I'm quite happy with the 3 players that I've gone with.
Okay.
Let's see if you've got them down.
To be honest, I've got one other player that I've written down, and I would have thought you would have him.
I'm going to guess it's the first person I'm going to say, maybe. I've gone with Kyle Pitts.
No.
I've gone with Kyle Pitts at 7-5. Over the last 3 weeks, he has been their number 1 receiver. I know that Drake London is back, and I know that he's going to see a lot of the ball. But if anything, when I watched the Falcons last week at halftime, they said, we're going to have to put 2 people on Pitts to stop him. Well, you're not going to be able to do that if London's out there. So I think it does open up Pitts a bit more, and they would be silly to move away from throwing in the ball when he's been so good over the last 3 weeks. And he's playing the Cardinals as well. So I quite like the 7-5 and him to get in the end zone again.
Yeah, London being back scares me a lot on that. I think the ball's going to London. But yeah, I mean, in theory, you're right. You should be right. I just don't think that they will be as clever as what you think they're going to be.
I've also taken Jacoby Myers.
That's the one I've got written down.
3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. 2-1, Adam. I can't, when you're possibly their number 1 wide receiver, I can't not take a 2-1 with how well Trevor Lawrence is playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I actually, and it's something I have done before, and I just didn't do it because I thought I'd talk about more games. Actually, Sutton and Myers, I would say, if as 2, you can do that and then look elsewhere. I mean, something like Sutton, Myers, and Collins wouldn't be a bad bet.
And then
but yeah, finally, I think you've got a good chance. Yeah.
Finally, in the last game, you've taken Nico Collins. I've taken Jaden Higgins, who's clearly cemented himself as the wide receiver 2 now. I think he's the obvious choice now, and he's going against the Raiders, which I'm kind of thinking multiple wide receivers might get in this game. Yes, Nico Collins is going to see a lot of the ball, but against the Raiders, I can see multiple guys getting in, and Higgins is the secondary guy at 16-5. I really like that bet because it's the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I get where you're coming from. My concern is it's going to be run heavy, because that's all you're going to need to do in order to beat the Raiders.
Well,
which it's kind of a bit of an indictment on my guy as well. I think on both of them they could end up not scoring because it could go run heavy here.
Woody Marks is carrying an injury. He left.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because
so they might not lean on him.
They have got someone else out.
Well, they have.
They've got back, isn't he?
Jawar Jordan, haven't they? Who had a really, really good game last week. 30-1, my bet is.
I like Myers. That's where I'll end.
Okay. Well,
I don't think the Texans are one of them teams where they rely so heavily on the defense. I think it's almost like they don't need to go out and score that many. I do think they rely on the run. So it kind of is a bit worrying with Nico Collins as well. The only reason I went for him is because I know the ball, when it's thrown, will go to him.
He was very dominant last week.
Kyle Pitts is just too many years of being awful I can imagine this guy having an absolute insane game last week and then doing absolute sod all in this one.
Just 0, 1
Yeah,
target.
yeah,
0
something ridiculous. You can just imagine
He's
it's going to be.
had close to 10 targets in each game over the last 3
Yeah,
weeks. You can see them go, do you know what? We'll just throw it to him once.
yeah. I can see that happening, absolutely. But they'll just run the ball with Bijan
That's
and
not his fault.
throw it to Drake London, and that'll be the end of it. And it's just like, and then he's just over there, "Woo, I'm free," and just nothing at all. It's like, it's so stupid.
Well, we are drawing close to the end of the season, so if your team is still in the hunt, best of luck. It's going to be an interesting one. As we said, got a game tonight, so it's not in a silly. It's on at 10 o'clock, so it's not a silly time either.
Yeah.
So you can all stay up and watch that, which is a great treat for us over the festive period. But till then, guys, keep it with the franchise tag, and see you again very soon.